Alright, Ibanez has announced new guitars for 2026. It's winter. Let's talk about them. We're going to talk about the electric guitars today. This video is not sponsored by Ibanez or anything like that. Shout out to Tony who put the link in the Discord showing me this. If you're not on the Discord, go ahead, jump in. We love talking about guitars, gaming, etc. But let's dive right in. Let's talk about this first guitar. Let's talk about the Alpha. We've got the A527 and the A528, a 7-string and an 8-string. And if you look at it and kind of squint your eyes, it looks kind of familiar, doesn't it? Maybe like a mix between a Strandberg and, say, a Lorada. Let's look at the A527 first. Now, looking at the specs, it has what's called a parallel wizard neck. And the thing about this neck, the first thing I see is, of course, it's a multi-scale. It's a 25.5-inch scale length to 27.2-inch scale length. Very interesting. But the thickness at the 1st fret and the 12th fret are the same. They're 21 millimeters. And the radius, it's pretty interesting. It's a 400 millimeter radius. So that's a 15.7-inch radius about. 15.748, 15.75. I was expecting something a bit flatter, but this isn't too round by any means. Now, besides that, of course, it has stainless steel frets. I'm personally a fan of stainless steel frets, and on a guitar like this, you kind of would expect them to be there. Of course, it has an ebony fretboard, and the body is basswood, and I'm actually a fan of basswood on guitars, so I like seeing that there. Beyond that, you've got Fishman-Fluence moderns. It says there's the ceramic in the bridge and the Alnico in the neck. In terms of controls, you've got a volume, a tone, a 3-way switch, and then also a 3-way switch for the Fishman voices. This is a crazy looking, very interesting, definitely a modern guitar. They're trying to step into this niche here. Now, would I buy one? Well, between the Loradas I already have and then the Solar 7-strings I have, I am a fan of those. I'm not sure. For some reason, the neck being as thick as it is kind of drives me away. I was hoping for a little thinner. But that being said, I'm pretty sure this is going to cost way less than a Lorada, and that is fantastic. Let's see other things. You look at the neck joint, that's very interesting. Without the neck being set in, that's pretty much as low profile as it could possibly be. And if you look at where the output jack is too, it's basically copying the Lorada. It's on the back up at the top. And I've found that that's a pretty useful place to have it. I haven't accidentally pulled it out. It's not in the way, whether I'm playing standing up, sitting down, playing classical style. So that is really nice to see. Now jumping over to the 8-string model, the A528. Things get a little bit interesting, and I noticed first the fretboard radius is much flatter. It says it's 508 millimeters, so that's 20 inches. So this is more in line with what I was expecting from a guitar like this. And then you look at the multi-scale, and the scale length is a little longer on the bass side. You still have the 25.5-inch scale length on the treble side, but on the bass side, you have 27.5 inches instead of the 0.2 for the 7th string. And I'm a huge fan of that. I like how they make it longer to account for having a whole extra string. I personally wouldn't like it if the 7th string one still had the bass side that would be this long. From my experiences, 26.5 inches has been plenty long enough for a 7-string scale length. Of course, baritone scale length, like even longer, exists, so maybe it's up to personal preference. Beyond that though, everything else is the same. You got the same controls, the same body material, same fret wire material, all that stuff. Overall, it's a very interesting, very modern new thing. You'll love to see it from a company like Ibanez. Now moving on to the AZ series. We've got a bunch of AZs in some colors you'd expect. We've got the AZ24S2 in its variety of colors, from the flat white, the flat black, all the way to orange. This is the 2 humbucker AZ you know and love. You've got the alder body, you've got the S-Tech roasted maple neck, Goto bridge like on a bunch of these, a bone nut, stainless steel frets, and the neck thickness is 20.5 millimeters to 22.5 millimeters at the 12th fret. Pretty standard stuff, everything you've seen before. You know, the radius is 305 millimeters. No surprise here, people keep buying them, they keep selling them. The AZ isn't my cup of tea completely, but I can see the appeal. We've got the AZ2204 in some interesting colors. We've got transparent gray burst and tri-fade burst. And the difference here is you have 2 single coils instead of a neck humbucker. Beyond that, you've got the ones that aren't prestigious, the AZ24S and the AZ22S. And those have 2 humbuckers and a humbucker and 2 single coils respectively. Technically, these aren't the S-Tech roasted maple, it's just a regular roasted maple, according to the website. And these have Jatoba fretboards. Aside from the pickups being the Ibanez custom pickups, these are pretty much similar dealios. Moving on to the RG series, we're getting a bunch of returning models. We've got the RG5121 RET. Now this one has the Evertune. I'm personally a fan of the Evertune. I found it very useful, especially in recording. It does change the feel of the guitar versus other bridge systems though, so if it's not your cup of tea, totally understand. What's interesting though is, according to the website, this has a bound rosewood fretboard, not an ebony fretboard. And I know ebony is the popular wood material, especially for guitars like these. I'm a fan of ebony fretboards, and I used to dislike rosewood, but as time went on, I've come to appreciate it. Still interesting to see rosewood on a Prestige though, especially after we're so used to having ebony fretboards on all of these. This still does have the stainless steel frets. It has the Fishman modern ceramic pickups. The neck dimensions are what you would expect. The 430mm fretboard radius, the 17 to 19mm neck thicknesses at the 1st and 12th fret respectively. And this guitar has a 3-way switch with the 2-voice mini toggle. So great to see the Evertune make a return, but it's interesting that there's a rosewood fretboard now. Moving on, we've got the RGR5130R. This model is returning in both the same colors, the gray metallic and the khaki metallic, but again, this has the rosewood fretboard, no more ebony. Maybe I've been living under a rock, maybe there's been some kind of announcement or something, but I'm kind of surprised. Everything else is what you would expect: the stainless steel frets, Fishman influenced modern ceramic humbuckers, low pro bridge, really huge fan of that bridge, and a basswood body. As I've said before, I'm a huge fan of basswood bodies, and I feel the combination of an RG and a basswood body is classic. The RG5320 makes a return both in the blue and the cosmic shadow, and it has all the same specs as before, but again, the theme this year seems to be they all have rosewood fretboards. But hey, whether it's ebony or rosewood, this is one of my favorite guitars of all time, so I'm glad to see it's still around. The RGR5221R is back in its orange glory, and it still has the bare knuckle brute force pickups. I'd love to try out one of these guitars sometime and really get to experience how these pickups are. Of course, the rosewood fretboard, but it has a graph tech nut also, so very useful there. Huge fan of the locking tuners too. The RG5121 is back, but it's only available in blue, so no more of the red. But since it's the same guitar except blue, I'm sure it's pretty good. But again, this one has the rosewood fretboard, whereas the old models have the ebony. Instead of the red though, they have a new model, the RGR5121RB. This one has a reverse headstock and is in gray flat, or gray metallic flat. There's a difference here too because the body is basswood, so I'm personally happy to see this. I'm not sure if I would get it because it's super close to the RG5121 I just showed you, but it's still great to see. If I was in the market for a fixed bridge RG with active pickups, I'd probably go for this one. Next we have a pretty cool 8-string, the RG5328R. You've got a pretty nice ash looking body. This one does have stainless steel frets, and it has Fusion Edge 8 pickups. And I just did a video talking about Fusion Edge pickups. So depending on what your preferences are, you might want to swap these pickups out, but still cool to see this. And this is a great option if you want an 8-string guitar from Ibanez that doesn't have the multi-scale now. Now there's that difference between this and the Alpha series. And this has the 27-inch scale length. Moving on to the next Prestige, we've got a 6-string, the RG653DX. And this one looks very classy, especially in white. You've got white flat and transparent deep blue flat. And something about the color of the body, the white looks good, but the blue looks good too. And then you've got that pick guard, and then you've got the witch hat knobs right there. I'm liking this combination far better than I would think I would. The body is ash. You don't have stainless steel frets on this. You've got the edge bridge and the classic DiMarzio pickups to put in an Ibanez, the Tone Zone and the Air Norton. And you've got a 5-way switch, so no split mini toggles, nothing like that. Which for me is actually a plus, because the less complicated the wiring is on a guitar, the less things can go wrong. And I'm usually using either full bridge or full neck all the time. So I'm not really feeling trems too much these days, but if I was looking for a Prestige and I wanted one with a trem, I probably would go for this. But moving on from trems to fixed bridges, we've got 2 fixed bridge Prestiges. We've got the RGR662AHBF, a 6-string with a fixed bridge, and the RGR762AHBF, a 7-string. These are pretty much the same guitar, just one has an extra string. The pickups are different. You've got the Tone Zone Air Norton in the 6-string one. You've got the PAF7 in the 7-string one. That's the DiMarzio PAF7. Ash body, rosewood fretboard, Graphtec nut. The neck has the typical prestige dimensions. Same 5-way switch setup that the previous guitar I talked about had. And locking tuners, so cool stuff. Moving on, the RG2027XL makes a return. It's very cool. A baritone scale length 7-string. It's got a 27-inch scale length. I'm pretty sure this guitar is unchanged. It's got the rosewood. It's blue. It has Fusion Edge 7 pickups, which I'm personally not a fan of these. I do like the 6-string version of the Fusion Edge more, but I'm not really a fan of how the low end sounds on these 7-string versions of this pickup. And then we've got 2 standard series RGs, one with the trem, one without. These are probably new colors. The RG470DXW is in this pretty crazy wine red frozen matte kind of finish color scheme. So it's a typical standard series RG. It's got the Wizard 3 that has a neck thickness of 19 millimeters at the 1st fret and 21 at the 12th fret. Meranti body, maple neck, Jatoba fretboard, and it has the Edge 02 bridge. The Quantum pickups I've never tried out, but if they're even a little better than the INF pickups from back in the day, they're probably okay. They probably get the job done. And then similar deal with the RG421. It's in the Twilight Shade finish, and it has the F106 bridge, so not the Gibraltar. There's a 7-string, a standard series. It's the RGA742EX. It's in the Black Aurora Burst matte finish. It has a Jatoba fretboard, Meranti body, F107 bridge, and the Wizard 2.7 neck, so it's basically the same neck as the Wizard 3, just stretched out a bit. You've got the 19 millimeter thickness at the 1st fret, the 21 millimeter thickness at the 12th fret, 400 millimeter fretboard radius. Let's jump on over to the RGD series. We've got the RGD R4327R. It has the mahogany body with the rich light top, very interesting. I used to have this guitar before. I wasn't a big fan of how the neck felt to play. Just for me personally, it didn't do it. Not to say it's a bad guitar by any means. There's a lot of awesome artists who've used this model of guitar to great success. It also has the Fusion Edge 7 pickups from the factory, which I'm not a fan of, and this model of guitar is what taught me I wasn't a fan of the Fusion Edge 7-string variety. But of course, you guessed it, the difference this year is that this model of guitar now has a rosewood fretboard instead of ebony. Now next we have a new standard series model, a 6-string. We have the RGD661AH, and this is in this interesting midnight shade flat color. I don't know if it's for me, I don't know if it's my cup of tea, but I can kind of see the appeal. I'm glad they're trying new things. It's got an ash top and an okume body. And even though it's a 6-string, it does come with a 26.5-inch scale length instead of 25.5 inches. So great for down tuning. Cool to see the Gibraltar Standard 3 bridge on this. It does have the Fusion Edge pickups. I'm perfectly fine with the 6-string version of these. They're not bad. And you've got a 3-way switch with a coil tap. One more RGD. It's a standard series. You've got the RGD721FA. And this finish is called the Stained Wine Red Burst Flat. Very cool, very metal. It's pretty much the same guitar as the one we just looked at, but with an extra string. Now, moving on to the S series, and I'm kind of the most excited about this. First, we have the return of the S6670SK. It's a prestige. It comes in Sunset Burst, which I think is the legacy color, but now dark ultramarine blue, and this looks really cool. This has what's called a silky oak top, a mahogany body, of course the rosewood fretboard, 24 frets, not stainless steel. You've got the Aaron Norton True Velvet Tone Zone pickup combination, low pro edge bridge, typical prestige neck dimensions, 5-way switch, so great to see they're keeping the S around. I've never actually owned an S Prestige. I've only had standard line S's and Axion label, so I'd be interested to get my hands on one, including this next one, the S6621AH, so it's a fixed bridge S Prestige guitar. It comes in transparent gray burst, and this one has an ash top instead of the silky oak. Aside from that, the other differences is that, of course, it has the Gibraltar 3 standard bridge instead of a trem bridge, and there's no True Velvet pickup in the middle. It's only the Tone Zone and Aaron Norton. Still has a 5-way switch, still has the prestige neck dimensions you know and love. It has a Graphtec nut and locking tuners. So I love to see the S series get some love. This is fantastic. Now, something else interesting, there's a new Xiphos, the XPT420DX, and this is in rose gold chameleon finish. So that's interesting. It's got a maple neck through with okume wings. It's got the Edge 02 bridge and the quantum pickups. What do you think of the color on this thing? Comment down below. Alright, we've got a few more series of electric guitars before we end the video, and the next series is the Iceman. We've got the IC420MFM and the IC420FM. They both have a flame maple top and okume body. You've got a set in neck with a fretboard radius of 305 millimeters, 20 to 22 millimeters thickness from 1st to 12th fret respectively, and a 24 3/4 inch scale length, so like a Les Paul or something. And these have the Super 80 pickups. Never tried them before, but they're passive ceramics. And then finally, we've got the AR series. We've got the AR625, the AR520, the AR420, and the AR320. The AR625 does have the Tree of Life inlay, and crazy enough, this is the first time we're seeing an ebony fretboard. So why this guitar and not all the other ones? Who knows? Kind of really surprised there. But besides that, we've got a flame maple top, okume body, a neck just like the Iceman guitars we just talked about, and Super 80 pickups again. The AR520 is a bit different. Same kind of neck, but Super 58 pickups. So these are our passive Alnicos. You've got the Alnico magnets instead of ceramic. So this has a Jatoba fretboard, but it has a Mikasa ebony top with an okume back and a maple body. The AR420 has an okume body with a maple top, a flame maple top, and Jatoba fretboard with the Super 58s, and the AR320 doesn't have the flame maple top. So what are my overall thoughts? Of course, it's amazing to see the Alpha series being released. I think I've seen pictures of these on Instagram here and there. I looked up the price of the A527, and it's looking like it's going to be about $1,900 USD. So it's not a cheap guitar by any means. It's pretty expensive, but it is much less expensive than a Lorada would be, or an Emmy. Both are models from Abasi Concepts. I don't really keep up with Strandberg too much, but these do seem to be just a little bit more expensive than some of them. Of course, it was great to see the additions to the RG line. I'm wondering why everything has a rosewood fretboard now, and I absolutely love that we got some S models. They're not too radically different from the S Prestiges we've had before. One of them is just a recolor, and the other one is basically that green one but with an ash top and it's gray. But for them to even acknowledge the S series and have something is great. And S was my first Ibanez guitar. I had an S series back in the day. I had the S470DXQM. Good times with that. But what are your thoughts? What do you think of the new winter lineup? Was there a guitar that stuck out to you? Is there one you want to buy? Were you disappointed this year? Let me know. Comment down below. Of course, this is YouTube, so I have to say the YouTube things. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the video, print out every frame and mail it. Join the Discord, of course. We love talking about guitar there. And if you're looking for something cool to listen to, I'm on all major streaming services, AZ Productions. I do original songs and video game music covers. And as always, peace.